The situation for my diagnosis was really quite scary, I have to admit, and thinking and reflecting back on that time frame. I was 16 years old, and my father had been out of treatment with his leukemia. He was diagnosed at 35, and he'd been out for a few years, so I was pretty familiar with the whole living with cancer and having a loved one go through such a difficult time. And what had occurred is that it was summer, the start of the summer. I just finished high school, I guess it was junior year, or sophomore year, sorry, I'm trying to remember back, 16 years old. And I got out of the shower one day, headed to my job as a hostess at Bob's Big Boy in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And I noticed that my collarbone, which sticks out typically on both sides, was definitely not sticking out on this left side. There was a swelling. And I thought, that's really weird. My eye was completely just drawn to that as I was, getting ready. And I started poking at it. I started doing different positions to see what was going on. And then I thought, let me show my mom. This is really kind of weird. It doesn't hurt, right? We're used to abnormal things hurting. So I walk out and I showed her, and she went white, because one of the symptoms of my dad's leukemia was not only night sweats, but he had a swelling in the same area of his neck. And she said, I recall this as if it were just this morning, call your father right now and tell him to meet us at the emergency room. And I said, I've got to go to work. What are you talking about? So we get to the emergency room, and again, mom and dad are in despair, and they're having conversations with the doctors excluding me. And I remember this situation after some blood work was done where the doctors asked my parents, can we talk to you outside? So again, I'm sitting in this emergency room waiting, wondering, what's going on. If I'm dying, I hope someone will tell me. And sure enough, they came into the room and my mom was in tears. And I remember saying, am I dying? Because if I am, I think someone should tell me. And that's when they broke the news to me that they suspected that there was some kind of a malignancy, and they needed to run more tests. And then basically what we did find out is that I had stage 2A Hodgkin's disease, a tumor here in my lymph node and another one behind my lung. The best thing you can give yourself is to be your own advocate, not to be ashamed of what's happened to you. You didn't choose to have cancer. But to learn how to live with what that means, and to learn how to give the gift to others of sharing your journey and your hardships, but also, the successes that you've been able to achieve. So being able to, number one, know what's happened to you, fully, hopefully nowadays, document it with a plan and a journal, and there's some great guidebooks to survivorship, certainly, really can make a big difference. But simply being equipped and knowledgeable to know to tell your physician, no matter what kind of doctor it is, your history with your cancer, because it may impact whatever else is going on that doesn't look like cancer. In reflection, I think that once I was able to connect with people who, like me, had gone through a cancer experience as young adults, number one, it warmed my heart because I recognized there's other people like me, I'm not alone. And secondly, I felt like it was my really duty to be an advocate and to come out and say, this happened to me, and if it happened to you, I'm here for anyone, and I'd like to still learn from those who are dealing with it, whether it's 10 years out, 20, 30 years out. Because you do worry about recurrence, and a lot of times your oncologists will, when you're going for follow-ups, say, now just recognize, I have to tell you that someone who's gone through what you have an X incident chance higher of getting breast cancer or, other type of cancer. And so at first that used to really plague me, and I'd be down in the dumps for weeks after going for a visit. But then I recognized, well, I don't know if I'm going to be alive tomorrow. I could get hit by a bus, God forbid, or something else could happen. So if I always use that frame of reference of worrying that a recurrence is coming, I will be immobilized, and I can't do that. And so since getting involved with organizations here locally that are of a national or an international realm that have been great in terms of connecting me with others, It's actually something that now it shapes who I am. And so while it doesn't define me, I'm happy to talk about it, and I'm privileged to be an advocate in any way that I can.